Hey guys, I'm Jimmy Fee. I've got Anthony Deicicchi here with me. We're going to be bringing you a new weekly video every Friday here on the On the Water YouTube channel. If you tuned in throughout the spring, you saw Matt Hefner, our assistant editor, doing a striper season update. As we get into the heart of the summer, you know, kind of our hearts are
It's tuna time, dude.
Are looking further offshore for bigger game. So we're going to be doing a Friday check-in, talking about what's happening that week in tuna fishing. And I'm
Actually,
hoping
all offshore fishing, right? We're going to cover it all on the in the deep water.
I got a little bit of tuna fever. But yeah, I know. Billfish too and mahi and all the other stuff that's happening out there. So we're hoping this report's going to bring, do a little something for you, whether you're going out there in a big battle wagon with trolling 16 rod spreads, or even if you're kind of doing what we were doing last week, where you go out hoping for a run and gun bite. It's not happening, so you're clipping spreader bars with spinning rods and just doing whatever you can to get tight.
That was an interesting spread, to say the least.
The yard sale spread is what I heard it called.
The common man spread, just trying to get tight, man.
It worked. It happened. We came back to the dock heavy, but this report's going to cover from Anthony. You want to tell us where we're going to?
Yeah, so we're going to start down as far south as, the Baltimore Canyon?
Yeah, maybe even down to Norfolk, off Virginia. So some mid-Atlantic offshore fishing covering the canyons to all the way up here off New England and Massachusetts, as far as hydrographers. Maybe even Munson. If anybody's going out to Munson Canyon. You ever been to Munson?
I haven't, but I might blow off ICAST.
Heard Munson was a hellcat.
And make the swim.
So anyhow, let's kick off this week's report. The best canyon fishing I heard of this week was happening, or at least the best reports were coming from Baltimore and Wilmington area. You've got a tournament happening out of Cape May. It's the South Jersey Yacht Sales Offshore Showdown that's happening this week out of Cape May, and so you have a lot of boats hammering those Wilmington, Baltimore Canyon, even up to, I think, Spencer Canyon. And they're seeing some really nice yellowfin tuna out of there, fish up to 100 pounds. And, man, it's been a trend the last couple of years. We've been seeing more of these big yellowfin tuna in the Northeast, fish with big
Allisons.
Allisons, dude, a couple Allison fins. That's a big bucket list one for me. I'd love to get that in the Northeast.
Be awesome.
So they've had yellowfin up to about 100 pounds. And I know they've had some big eye down there as well. And one thing that was interesting is I was watching the Sport Fishing Championship update on that, and they said that last year during this tournament, the water was a lot colder there.
A lot of big eyes.
And it was mainly big eye they were catching. This year, they've got some warmer water, mid-70-degree water in those canyons for this tournament. So you're seeing a lot of yellowfin, seeing some white marlin as well. And that yellowfin fishing there's good action all the way up to the Hudson Canyon. They're seeing some good yellowfin fishing happening in the Hudson, and some of those yellows are starting to drift a little bit inshore toward some of the midshore structures off New Jersey and off Long Island. Jeff Lamonaco at Whitewater Outfitters was telling me that he's surprised it's happening this early, that some yellowfin are drifting into some of their midshore grounds and giving the run and gun guys a shot at them.
It seems to be happening a little earlier. I want to say that yellowfin bite started to materialize like after ICAST, which is our like break in offshore fishing last year, and it really got going good. And we'll get into it, but there's been plenty of reports inshore on yellowfin, even more north of where Jimmy's talking now.
Yeah, so this week last year, I actually got out with Captain Rob Radliff, my friend out of New Jersey, and we hit some midshore yellowfin stuff. They had some good action there in mid-July, but what was a great yellowfin bite that developed kind of around Block Island, it kind of happened a little bit later in July. It was all bluefin, and that's pretty much what we had until this week, I'd say. You had some really good bluefin action south of Martha's Vineyard, and that there's kind of that broad area that encompasses a lot of structures all the way down to the shipping lanes, and then eventually, you have the eastern canyons of West Atlantis, Beach, all the way out to.
We started getting organized to be able to go, and there's been so much visibility issues out east, like the Sword area, the Crab Ledge area, that you kind of forced to focus on the southern grounds behind the vineyard. And, I was hoping to find them real close at the Claw, and we rolled through there last Friday.
That was Friday.
And it was, other than some bluefish that were balling up sand deals, it was pretty lifeless until we got out towards the dump. So, and it was all bluefin, right?
Yeah, so last Friday, all we'd heard about south of the vineyard were bluefin, and a mix of overs and unders. We actually had one of each when we were trolling our yard sale spread. We had like a 35, 36-inch bluefin, and then I think a low 50-inch bluefin. And then I was out again on Wednesday So the day after 4th of July, I was out there with Jonah Olson, a friend of ours, and we heard over the radio some chatter about yellowfin tuna mixing in with the bluefin. So clearly, what was interesting to me is out there, you could tell that there had been a water temperature change. Not so much a temperature change, but the water looked different. Yeah. You had more like canyon-looking water, as opposed to that green kind of inshore water where you usually see the bluefin. So it wasn't too surprising to hear about the yellowfin in there. And if you take a look at the SiriusXM Fish Mapping stuff, that software kind of predicts where this action is going to happen. They use a lot of data points, chlorophyll, for that water clarity and predicting bait distribution, water temperature, of course, currents. So they take a lot of data points and then use that. They're experts over there kind of assess where those fish are going to move in addition to the reports that they're hearing. But so they're able to kind of predict and look forward to where those fish might end up.
Yeah, so it's basically a fish mapping software that makes use of their oceanographers that are like, doctors in that field that, have built an algorithm that is predictive, essentially. So it's going to give you hot spots for like the top 3 areas to go, which you can kind of dial it in by species. If you want blue marlin, it's going to give you the ideal mix of all the things that make blue marlin happy that say, all right, these are the top 3 areas that you want to focus on blue marlin. And you can do the same thing for swordfish, species by species, all through your tunas and mahi. It's pretty cool.
It's a good opportunity to kind of make the report.
Yeah.
So as opposed to, going out there, one thing that is essential is your offshore network, and that's something that we kind of learned out there with Jonah and I. We went out there. We knew other boats were in the area, so it's not like we were just kind of bombing out there on our own and not being safe. But we didn't have a buddy boat out there to be like, you go check over here, we'll check there. So we caught on to where the fishing was good a little bit later. But having that network and cashing in all the reports is a good thing, but being able to kind of predict where it's going and make the report.
That's where that tool comes in.
Exactly.
Another huge benefit from that whole service is the weather element of it. There's no offshore fishing if you can't find a weather window, and there's nothing worse than picking the wrong window to roll in. We've all done it, but that is a feature that SiriusXM delivers with fish mapping. It's free. With that subscription, it comes with it, I should say. And, that's huge, not only for being able to pick the right window to roll on, but when you're out there and you get these little pop-up storms and squalls, it's pretty easy to freak out when you're 100 miles from shore and be like, oh no, I didn't know the squall was coming, let's head home. When if you have that stuff in real-time data, you could be like, all right, here's what that cell's doing. If we troll a little bit to our south, we can skirt this storm and there's nothing but clear skies behind it. So it's a super useful tool on the weather front as well as the fish mapping front.
But back to the nitty-gritty of the fishing report. So we talked about the Southern Canyons, the Hudson Canyon. Talking to Jeff Lamonaco at Whitewater Outfitters, we mentioned the midshore yellowfin tuna bite that they had, but he said the boats heading for the canyons out of the eastern part of Long Island, they were heading east to like Veach Canyon, West Atlantis Canyon area, and that for the kind of northern canyons, that had the best water up to last weekend. Veach especially. I know Andy Nabreski from our office was out there.
Veach had a lot of yellowfin over the last week. It had been super strong. It's been fishing great. So it'll be interesting to see where those fish move to next. My call is kind of East Atlantis. I think they're probably due to kind of pop up in numbers there next.
Yeah, we'll see where the water moves. If you look at the sea surface temperature maps, there was a pretty hard edge there.
Yeah.
And they, in addition to the yellowfin, they had some big eye there. And then the guys that went and deep dropped for swordfish caught some swordfish in Veach as well over the weekend. The weather's looking pretty good for this coming weekend. And, even if you don't have the canyon range, the bluefin fishing's been pretty good close to shore. It's been predominantly a troll bite. Like I've gone out 3 separate times looking for run and gun action and kind of hindered by fog on 2 of those trips, but caught on every trip.
Yeah.
But hindered by fog on 2 of them, and then on the last one, just didn't see any surface feed. So if you're going out, have that trolling plan B. On Wednesday out there, south of the Vineyard trolling, it didn't seem to matter what color bar you put out there. They were eating everything. People that were on the radio go like, they're on black, they're on green, they're on rainbow. It didn't matter. Just get a bar out there and get in the right area, find that bait. The yellowfin we ended up putting on board that day was stuffed with squid and butterfish. which was totally different from the bluefin we'd caught a couple days before in basically the same area that was stuffed with sand eels.
Yeah.
So the bait and life is definitely moving around out there.
That water flipped over. That water kind of flipped over, and that bait changed with that water change to butters and squid. And then that sand eel bite kind of moved more like mid-dump area, and a nice jig bite has developed. So, you know, I was talking to Joe D'Agostino, who we just had on the podcast.
I'm sorry. Mid dump that's usually when I'm gathering my tuna intel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I can't control the names of places that tuna are caught.
This is something we need to talk about in the podcast. Are the ridiculous tuna names?
Yeah.
Like you've got the fingers, and the fingers are approaching Gordon's Gully. It's insane. But this is not for this is a fishing report. This isn't a podcast. Yes. So what did Joe Baggs say?
He was he caught out in the dump. He got a good jig bite going. He had some fish on top, which has been kind of hard to come by lately. And he got all bluefins, but he didn't get into the yellows.
He got some on the jig?
He got a good jig bite going. He got most of them on the troll, but it was all bluefin. And we know that, you know, a little farther northeast was where the mixed bag deal was going. A buddy of mine, Matt Fronius, and Danny Vieira went out of Falmouth, and they were a little northeast of that area, and they encountered all trolling, two bluefin and over and under, and they got a nice mid 40-inch yellowfin on the troll. Same deal, black bars and green machine bars was what did the damage for those guys, and that was yesterday.
So moving a little bit further north, going east of Chatham, east of Cape Cod, there's
fog. There's fog everywhere.
Lots of fog, but continues to be good numbers of recreational-sized bluefin. Haven't heard a ton on the giants. I know some guys are getting them. It seems like your best shot for the giants is heading a little bit further north. Stellwagen Bank, Peaked Hill area has some tuna, but I know guys ran it. I know there were some long boat rides taken this week too, where guys
the bank's been a little quiet. Yeah. Like, you know, for this time of year, it's usually kind of have popped off by now on both the giant side of things with wreck fish mixed in. And that has kind of been a little quiet. Maybe that's by design. I don't know. I haven't been out there myself to see what's been going on. But yeah, it seemed like that, you know, Peaked Hill golf ball stretch had been the most common, closest point to the bank that has had some feeds. And then the fog has kind of shut things down, you know, out east.
So like I said, we're going to be bringing you one of these videos every Friday. If you're watching this, let us know in the comments. Tell us your highs and lows of your tuna season so far. Let us know what you're catching. Send us your pictures. We'll get them into the report. One thing we didn't cover is white marlin. Just walking back a little bit. I know your buddy got a white marlin.
Brian Weiss, buddy of mine, got his first white marlin inshore. You know, he fishes out of the Connecticut area, so he was definitely fishing those inshore tuna crowns, happened to across a white marlin, which is something that I'm looking forward to do. I'd like to do a white on a sight fishing one or something cool.
Yeah, set those goals nice and high.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
make it extra challenging. But I mean, it's shaping up. It's about to blow wide open. The canyon fishing's opened up. We're going to have great bluefin fishing inshore through November into December, so there's going to be a lot to talk about going forward.
Yeah, I didn't mention the inshore bluefin off New Jersey. Mike Leeson at Tack Waterman said that there are some good numbers of recreational-sized bluefin on New Jersey's midshore ground. So they said kind of a wide range of areas, 15 to 30 miles out. They said they're scattered and they're moving around fast, so you got to go out there and you know, kind of cover some ground in order to find them or have a good network. But the fish are there to be caught, and you can catch them on spinning gear. I know he was using paddle tails. Paddle tails have definitely been the hot casting bait the last couple years.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys throwing stick baits too. So one other thing I was going to do is I was going to say if you wanted to offer us a tip, kind of an offshore fishing tip, throw it in the comments section or email to us, and we mentioned in the report, we'll send you an on the water tuna tail hat. I didn't get that approved by Chris Megan, but I think that's all right.
I mean, he's not going to listen to this anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it. But in any event, We're looking forward to covering this on a weekly basis. You're going to get the report online on Thursdays, and then on Friday you'll get basically a wrap-up email. If you subscribe to the On the Water emails, which you can go to onthewater.com, hit the sign up for fishing reports button, enter your email, it's free, and you'll get these special offshore reports reports in your emails on Friday. Be able to read them on onthewater.com on Thursday evening. And these video updates will hit our YouTube channel pretty quickly on what day, Jim?
Fridays.
So On the Water, YouTube, like it, subscribe to it. Check it out, and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see more of, and we'll keep this offshore content coming throughout the summer into the fall.